Over the past 7 years, there had always been a glimmer of hope, a chance that this time it would work. It was finally over. My dream of becoming a biological mother was gone. I was in shock. I needed to get away from my colleagues and find somewhere to fall apart. A female custodian, came upon me in the depths of despair, and in my halting Spanish, I explained why I was crying. She gently put her hand on my back and said, "He will take care of you." Here on the podcast, the Rebel for a Spell podcast, I've just read to you the words of Lana. Lana Manikowski is an author, certified life coach, keynote speaker, and infertility advocate dedicated to helping women thrive after infertility. Lana is also the founder of the Others Day Brunch and host of, I will let her say the name of her podcast because it's so aligned and integrous, I believe, to her mission. And I would like you to receive every bit of grace and wisdom I invite you to that will be offered here to you today by Lana. Lana is a woman whom I admire, whether or not you're on an infertility journey or not. If you've had a dream and it unexpectedly changed, and you are given the gift to redefine your worthiness, to dream, Lana is here for you. Welcome to the podcast, Lana.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. We've met so many years ago, and you've always stayed in my heart. And it's an honor and a pleasure to be the first guest of this season.
Yes, we welcome you here, Lana. Lana, I've read your book. Through tears, I kept reading your book. And I said, this is a book that Lana chose to write. And throughout your book, you mentioned this in a couple different ways. You said, you get to choose. Your future isn't empty. Can you share with us, Lana, why this book? Why allow yourself to be, let's call the word that a lot of women, corporate women, we're both from that background, a lot of driven, ambitious women, when we come upon what life may cause us to define as a failure, why be seen through this book? Share with us why this book. Why did you write this book?
Well, I think just for that reason, because I didn't know that I could be seen beyond success and that I had to hide when I failed and I had to feel shameful when I couldn't achieve. And that was just the way that I was raised to believe that's how you show up in this world. I come from an immigrant family, so I don't know if it had something to do with that or something with the way women are socialized. But after that 7 years of trying everything I could to become a mom and not being able to, I hid. And I didn't like who I was when I was hiding. And I think that was the greatest revelation, was to see that you don't have to hide, and that through your struggle, through your despair, through your agony, you can still be proud of yourself and you can share your story instead of hide from your story, to not only inspire yourself, but to inspire others.
Inspire others. Powerful, powerful words. Sometimes, Lana, even the title of your book, So Now What? Create a life you, say it with me, Lana, create a life
you love without the children you always dreamed of.
Create a life you love without the children you have always dreamed of. Sometimes, Lana, I feel those words so potently. I'm not a mother. I feel those words so potently. I'm not a mother, even without being a mother. It resonates, right? Because you made a choice, though. It's sometimes easier to say than to experience the thing when you're in the dark night of the soul thing. So help us appreciate that, Lana. What was the turning point for you? What were you able to turn that dial in a different way after 7 years? That's a long time investment of you and your husband journey, money, time, energy, hope and planning. And how were you able to turn the dial into another facet?
I don't think it was crystal clear. And I think that's why I talk so much about it, because had I heard someone talk about loving a life without children or feeling proud of yourself, even if your dream of motherhood didn't happen, maybe I would have stopped my journey sooner. I certainly don't live in regret. I would never give up any one of those opportunities that I experienced to get me here. But I think for me, I was not sure who I could be if it wasn't a mom. So I continued down this path. And then it got to the point where, from a medical perspective, I'd been going through fertility treatments for quite a while at multiple clinics, not only in Chicago, but outside of Chicago. And when it came time for the doctor to tell me, we could do this more, but we probably will expect the same outcome, I had to start thinking about when I was the person 7 years before that. I had a vision of what my life would be, that if this worked out this next time, if that next cycle worked, my friends who I thought I was going to raise kids with already had kids in school. My sister already had 2 kids. This vision, I was going to be a mom in my 60s, sending kids off to college. And so I had to really look at myself and say, is it okay to let go of this dream and let go of this goal, because the ending isn't where you thought it was going to be when you created that dream for yourself? And also, I think, being a goal achieving person, I was afraid to step away and not achieve the goal, because I just always thought you have to stick through it until you achieve it. So it was very liberating for me to allow myself permission to reevaluate. Is what I'm working towards giving me what I thought it was going to give me when I started working towards it? And I don't think, I don't think women, like I said before, are given the opportunity to hear that message. So for me, it was that moment when I reevaluated myself that allowed me to say, okay, maybe there is something else out there. Maybe I can feel proud of myself. Maybe I can fall in love with my life, even if it looks different than I thought it was going to be.
Possibilities, possibilities. You became your maybe. I often say that on my podcast. A lot of people don't, you said it so well. As an immigrant, come from an immigrant background and so forth, the culture in which we live and the people with whom we surround ourselves, just naturally, right? Our lineage, they put expectations on who we are, and possibilities, defiant possibilities are not always taught. And so we fall into certain patterns, but you were able to somehow seed your own possibilities, retune a new vision, a new vision. The person you have created, let's just tell the truth, right? You had a choice. You could have stayed where you were and kept going with that, exhaustive, let's tell the truth process. Or you could choose to maybe accept, that's what I'm hearing, accepting there's another way you can be. Find joy. You talk about it in your book. How can you find joy when the whole world says you're supposed to be a mother? And you said, no, wait a minute, I can choose this thing. How important is it for us to recognize, Lana, the potency, the power of our free will to choose? Many of us don't see that. Can you share with me that? You say it so many times in your book. Choice, choice, choice. Please share that with me.
Well, I think it's scary when we don't have a roadmap or proof of how it's done. And I think as successful, goal-driven people, there's this methodical way to get to something. But when you're your first student, when you're your first proof of possibility, it's scary. And there's doubters, and there's people who are telling you, oh, you're going to regret this, or you should adopt, or who's going to take care of you when you get older. And I consciously every day have to tune that out and say, I am going to be who I am today and love what's around me today because I don't know. I don't know who is going to be in me with me in my last days. I don't know when my last day is. I don't know how things are going to end. So all I can do is live in the joy for today. And that is a conscious thing that I have to remind myself of. I don't think you could honestly, I mean, at least me, I don't honestly say I wake up every day full of joy from morning till night. There are conscious decisions that I have made to say, yeah, this is not where I thought I'd be, but this is the part I love about it. And even if it's one of 20 things, I want to think about that one thing that I feel joyful about.
I love that. You consciously, deliberately, that's the part, right? There's so much power in choosing where you put your energy, where you put your trust, where you put your faith, where you put your fear. Let's tell the truth, because fear is so often more practice than believing in the possibility. Deciding today I'm going to feel joyful, even if I don't have electricity and it's boiling in wherever state you are, or there's, hurricanes or snowstorms. Deciding to be present in the present now. It's a challenge that I see from my practice helping women throughout their own journey. It's a very challenging practice for some people to let go of the life they cannot unlive. You cannot unlive your life. It's you cannot unlive your life, but you have now. Where did that come from, Lana? Your ability. I'm returning to this because many people struggle with letting go of the shoulda, coulda, woulda. Man, if I had that baby, it's a challenge. How do you live in the present now? What seeded that? Were you always spiritual? Were you always in that space of awareness? So you
No,
can turn the dial? Can you walk us through a little bit of that?
no, I was, I think suffering and working hard and stopping at nothing were things that I thought were definers for success, that you couldn't easily and joyfully live a life that was successful unless you worked really hard for it, or unless you sacrificed, unless you burdened yourself. Like I saw that and again, you know, I don't say that it's just if you come from parents that had to do that and that was their survival mode of coming to a country where they didn't speak the language or they didn't fit in or they had an accent or whatever it was. But I carried that as that was I could only be successful if I suffered for it. And it was hard to unlearn that. And again, it's not something that I innately still wake up believing. It is a conscious decision when I notice myself in despair or in panic or feeling anxiety, which comes to me every day. I have to remind myself, you are here, you are present in this moment. I put my hands on my chest a lot to feel as though I'm together with something, with me, which to me is the greatest something I can be connected to is myself. And feel as though, this feels scary right now. I'm unsure of this right now, but we are going to figure this out. We might not know the answers, but we're going to explore together. These are the messages that I bring into myself because I spent so many years panicking and thinking, oh my gosh, what if I don't figure this out? What if I lose my job? What if, my husband falls in love with someone else because he wanted to be a dad and I couldn't give him a child? Like all of these moments of panic didn't help me. So why don't I try something that can at least calm me if I don't know the outcome either way? Finding this sense of assured togetherness with myself is really the conscious way that I every day allow myself to flow a little bit more lightly
I love
as
that
I
you said
continue through
that.
this journey. Yeah.
Finding togetherness with yourself. Because you
Mm-hmm.
said it so well. none of us really know what's going to play out, how it's going to play out. But we get so caught up in the how and the when and the who, and our brains, I call this just yaps, yippity yaps, magic lies. And they're just stories, a misuse of imagination, a misinterpretation of our path that we're here for, that we really don't know when, how. So, as you just said, just fall into grace, right? Soothe yourself, support yourself. So, how did you come up with the name of this, the title of your book?
Well, my book, and then you mentioned in my intro, I have a
A
podcast, which
podcast,
is
yes.
also called the So Now What podcast, because I think so many points in this journey of not only seeking motherhood, I would say in my whole life, I've asked myself, so now what?
Mm.
And there's been this crossroads where I didn't really have trust in myself that I could figure it out. And I'd ask, like, who's going to help me? Where is the roadmap? Who's the example? Like, I always looked for someone or something outside of me to answer that question of, so now what? And most notably, when I left my 7-year journey through fertility treatments and we explored the route of adoption and decided that that wasn't the right route for us, I, consciously said to myself, okay, like, so now what? And then had an answer for myself. So now what? We're going to wake up tomorrow and we're going to just figure it out tomorrow. We're going to look at this tomorrow. And in micro areas, I think I always thought I had to have the whole spectrum figured out, but it was just looking at the one decision, the one answer to a question, the one thing, instead of having it all planned out, because I was really good for so much of my life of anticipating the process once the problem came. It was like, okay, this is going to fall apart. I did it in my corporate job. I did it in my marriage. And, as a young adult of, buying my first condo and worrying about, am I going to make the mortgage payments and credit cards and all this stuff? And my brain would be like, oh, you're going to lose everything and you're going to be in a homeless shelter and you're going to die, all this stuff. So I was so good at like figuring out the next steps as a sense of security and just being like, okay, that can just be one singular question that needs one singular small answer for today.
I love that. I love that asking. That's the thing, right? Once we stop for a moment, if we're able to calm our nervous system down and ask the question to ourselves, frankly, and to the universe, just allow the possibility to flow through our breath. So now what? It's almost like a relinquishing of the stranglehold that we have on our closed mind, right? This is the only way it can be, and that's the only way. But so now what? I love that. It invites new possibilities. It invites hope. It invites, to me, openness. It invites community because you are no longer accepting that you are alone, isolated, and forever by yourself and all the doom and gloom. You're opening up light to come in. I love that. So now what? Just the questions that we can bring up and surface. And you mentioned your husband, and he has been with you every step of the way. For many women, yes, they don't have that support. I've met many women here in Florida who come to Florida for IVF treatment, and you see some of them, the despair, the loneliness, the physical discomfort they may be in, and not having someone to soothe and console them. Some of them bring their husbands and their partners. And what do you say to someone in the journey, maybe at the beginning of this IVF, IUI journey, and they have no idea about the voyage, right? We all don't know where life takes us, but they're on this thing. They've decided to do this thing. They don't know how it's going to turn out, or they're in the midst of it, different cycles they're going through. What would you say to those ladies?
I know it sounds cliche, but it's just, you have to just take it day by day because there is nothing that can prepare you for the ups and downs of this. And you don't know, you could be doing everything the doctors tell you to do. You could be going to the top rated physicians. You could have, every add-on acupuncture, Reiki, like all these things that I was doing in conjunction with my treatments to improve my outcomes. But despite all of that, like it still didn't work. And I think it's just so important of segmenting it just day by day. And people will say, oh, you need to relax more. You need to this more. You need to that more. And it's just focus on what am I going to focus on today? And don't constantly tell yourself you need to be doing more of something or add this in and add that on. And I remember, and I would get so angry. My husband would say this, and I, at the time, felt like it was not supportive of him to say, but he would say, I see you struggling to try everything. And what if you didn't have to push yourself to try everything? Because he meant like, I would go to, my medical appointment in the morning, and then I would go to work, and then I would find an hour and a half to squeeze in to go for Reiki. And then I would squeeze in a massage the next day. And then I would go to acupuncture on Saturdays. And he just saw me kind of just throwing everything at the wall to say I did it. And it would stress me out more because I felt like, gosh, I'm doing everything and it's still not working. But was I doing it from a place of abundance or from a place of scarcity? And there's nothing wrong if you're doing all those things that I did. I think that it's just we're frantic to try everything. And, I sometimes suffer with if I meet someone who's in the midst of going through fertility treatments and I become a more well-known name in the fertility world, and people will recognize me when I'm at, fertility related events, and they'll tell me, oh, I'm still going through fertility treatments. And I sometimes pause and I'm like, do I want them to hear my journey and my story for fear that they'll be like, oh my gosh, I hope I never end up like her. Oh my gosh, she's bad luck. She's, my brain takes me to that, but then I have to redirect my brain and say, what would it have been like to have been that person in the midst of my treatments and met this amazing woman who, despite all she tried and all she's doing that I'm doing, did not achieve her dream of motherhood. And look at her life now. Look what she has been able to create with her life. Mm-hmm. So it's this push and pull that I get still to this day when I meet someone and tell them what I do when they ask about me or ask about my journey.
I hear so much grace in that, though, Lana. Yes, we can think of our lives and project and decide our destiny from a place of abundance or scarcity. I think we're all learning. If we look at it from that lens, we're learning, willing to learn, willing to risk. I mean, come on, somebody said no, and Lana said, oh, maybe I'll try the thing. Or the person listening here, the women listening, I tried maybe. That's the thing that I think sometimes we don't see and maybe appreciate, because that leap from just hearing the thing, you're not going to be a biological mother the traditional way, and deciding, oh, I'm going to try this. That's a big leap of self-trust, of not knowing, but you're going to try. So I'm curious now, you jumped from there and now you're in a different space and you have the podcast and this wonderful book. Who have you become now as a result of this learning journey, as a result of everything that you did that you cannot undo? Who have you become now? I know you're a coach to women going along this path, but in terms of Lana herself, without those titles, without those identities that people put upon us, who does Lana feel she has become now through this?
I think it's an easy answer. And it's like, I feel like I've become me. I've reignited my life in so many different ways and explored things and quit a corporate job that was a multi-six-figure job to do something else. And then wrote a best-selling book and started a podcast. And, there's just been on the national news, internet, like I've had all these like amazing things happen to me by not fitting into this box of definition. And I think, I don't know. I mean, this is, of course, my way of seeing it because I'm not a mom. But had I become a mom would I have had that bandwidth to flow so freely in my life without having to raise and care and nurture little ones? I mean, maybe. I'm sure that there's moms out there who, I don't want to disparage the women out there who are moms and do wonderful things. I mean, that's the other thing, a message that I have for the mom listeners out there. People are always like, when I meet women who are moms, that's not the only thing I see them as. Like, I think to my corporate world, there are amazing female leaders and mentors and impactful women who mom was just one thing on their resume. So I always like to tell people that as well, that you're never just a mom. You're so many other things. But for me personally, I allow myself now to just get curious. And I think I shared this with you over Messenger the other day. Like, I'm starting a new corporate job on Monday after working for myself for 2 years. I'm 52 years old. And most people are like, oh, at 52, you're starting to wind down on life. And I'm like, no, this interested me. Someone reached out to me and I explored the opportunity, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it.
Bravo.
So here I go.
Bravo. I love that. Everything that you said, I love it. The pressure has been released. You are who you are now, the true you who was birthed through your courage to take that leap of faith that maybe this thing would work out and maybe it would, maybe you became your maybe. And I love what you said about mothers and the definition and the pressure we as women put on ourselves. It is insurmountable and unnecessary, but we do it because we do it and we do it and we're taught to do it. And just to add to what you said before, it's hard to see in the moment that things seem like they're not where they should be and you want it to be. But ultimately, I've come to realize through my own journey coaching women, and you maybe too, is nothing is ever really going wrong by the definition of what wrong is. Something is leading us, guiding us somewhere that we must be. And nothing we can do, how much other things we drink, or, health-wise, homeopathic stuff, or how much we don't do this or stay with life will put us on the path that we're meant to so that we can come home to the me. All of us me's like Lana has. And that path looks very differently for some people. And when we realize, this is my road. This is my lane. I'm going to stay and I'm going to see what happens. And it happens. And look at what Lana found out. Wow. She found Lana. Awesome. It's hard to see when you're on the other side. Mm-hmm. It's hard to feel that possibility, but that's the thing. That's why I invited Lana here. And that's why the universe brought us 3 circle around. We were supposed to meet last year. And now is the time to remind you, dear souls, that the journey is worth it. The becoming of you is worth it. The true you, not the magic yippity yap lies or who your parents say you should be or society. You're worth it. What would you say to your husband, Lana? Now,
if you told me you're throwing when he was saying the trying everything.
Yeah, everything. Trying everything, or you come on the other side, and what would you say to him?
I didn't know that I could just let things figure themselves out. I just thought I always had to follow the checklist and follow the recipe of, everything that everyone else had tried. And, that's who I was then. And he tells me all the time, he's like, I'm so lucky I'm married to you, because when he's stressed, when something's going on, I'll coach him and be like, babe, like, what's really going on here? What are you most scared of happening? What are the things that you think you can't figure out? And he'll be like, I hate when you ask me this stuff, but I'm so lucky to be married to you.
Oh, how beautiful is that?
But I think for him, he recognizes that I'm a totally different person than I was. And he often will say, like, I am so proud of what you've done with your life. And I'm so lucky that you are my wife. He'll say, and I know that he sees it, even though he's on he will never talk about our fertility journey in public. I've been invited on podcasts and, TV where they said, oh, will your husband come along? And that's just not who he is. And also, I see growth in me allowing him to have his own journey in this, and that his journey doesn't have to be what I want for him, that I can love and respect him for how he wants to navigate the grief he feels of not being a dad.
So much generous grace and love and togetherness, really. So powerful. I said this before on the top of the podcast. This message, your book, it's so inspiring and it's so helpful for any woman who's had a dream that feels like the dream was snatched from them. It's not snatched. You're given a chance, like you said. I love this title in your chapter of one of your books. Not the chapter, but one of the chapters. It said something like, choosing to love your life and redefine your worth after infertility. Choosing to love your life. Choosing. Do you hear that? It's a choice. Everything Lana has said here came from that choice to imagine or think about possibilities or believing on purpose, as she says in the book. Believing on purpose. What does that mean, Lana?
Yeah, well, I think deciding what do I want to believe about this situation, this circumstance, this thing that is in front of me. Because for a long time, I thought I was being cursed, that I was not a good daughter. I was not a good Christian. I was not a good this, and that this was a payback for something. And that's a heavy burden to carry, to wonder, gosh, was I mean to someone in third grade? Did I trip someone on purpose in gym class? Like all these places my brain would take me. And I realized, like, I can believe that I am a good person who doesn't have kids. I can believe that I am blessed, even though I don't have a child. So it's this decision to decide, what do you want to believe? Because a belief oftentimes is something that we carry with us from family, from religion, from politics, from society, you name it. And our belief system gets formed by influences of other people. And most people don't realize that your beliefs in your belief system can be part of what you want it to be. You don't have to tell anyone what you believe. You don't have to ask for appreciation for what you believe. You don't have to ask for acceptance of what you believe. You can choose to believe whatever the heck you want and decide that's what you want for yourself. And that is where so much liberty has come into my life, where even to this day, my people, the elders in our faith community will be like, oh, you never know, you still might get blessed with a child. And I'm like, babe, I'm 52 and menopause is here and gone. Okay. I know that I'm not having a child. So for me, I don't want to wait to believe that I'm only blessed because they believe that having children is a blessing. And that is the part of the freedom we have every single day that I would never trade any of this coaching and this mind work and the tools that I've been taught through coaching. And that's, for me, my awareness of coaching started in 2020. That was the first time I even knew what a life coach was. I didn't understand that I could choose my own story, that I could describe my life and my circumstances in the way that I wanted to. And that has been the key to opening up so much in my life. So that's why I'm so passionate about coaching and helping other women understand what coaching is, because I don't know that I understood it. And so I imagine there's a lot of other educated, aware, advanced women who don't even know what coaching is. So,
and you do that
tangent on believing on purpose.
Believing on purpose. I love that. I think, Lana, if I may offer this, I think you've always, whether or not you call it a coach or you met the coach, to me, you were doing the work on Lana, right? You kind of were doing it. Maybe you didn't have the title and the frameworks or whatever people say. I think intuitively our soul knows what we're very good at. And we're coaching ourselves, really. All the stuff that you were doing before, maybe you were doing them in a different way. You didn't have the name for the thing, or the gears to readily shift into the thing. But there's an element of us that's really innately aware of what feels good, what feels kind of safe or very safe. And we move towards it, and the universe answers us back, right? The feedback. So he's like, 2020, I'm ready. I'm here for it. I feel aligned. I'm going to move with it. I'm going to trust it. I think that's so powerful that you are letting us see your path to this new mission, a path to believing on purpose. And then that's wonderful. And 52, you're never done, right? We're never done
Mm-mm.
on this living and loving and yumming up life and deciding what feels good and releasing ourselves from the judgment that we put on ourselves. And the people who love us and don't realize they're casting judgment by saying, you're still this and that. They're just conditioned, right? They're just conditioned, and you are holding fast and firm to your belief that I can be joyful with or without. And I choose to be joyful now. And that's a powerful message to share. We all have different paths to walk, and we all mothers. You're a mother. I see you as a mother. Sorry if you're offended by any means by that. Mother is just love, right? Isn't that another word for mothering, loving? You have your Coco, your little bunny honey
Yeah, she's
puppy.
back here.
She's back there. Hello, Mamisita. She's like, leave me alone, girl.
She's like, I'm snoozing.
She's snoozing. You give so much love to the world, Lana, just from your presence, your ability to hold your clients. And I've seen you doing the stuff. We won't get into the details. I saw Lana hold a room of women in a challenging state, and you were doing the thing. You may not have seen yourself because in the midst of emitting and radiating and giving love and giving the skill and the gift, we're here to share, to liberate the world, that two-way street we're doing, you and me, you and all of us. We don't realize the potency of it. I saw that. Lana, your path is here. And you were led here to do this thing, and you're willingly going and glowing, and it's an honor to witness you, to share these moments with you and everybody else who's coming to this podcast, everybody else who's found your book. So now what? And you're embarking on a new, maybe an expansion of your dreams. I love that for you. Bravo to you for your willingness to be curious, to evolve, to learn, to share. Tell us about your coaching and
So I start
on your Mother's Day, your
Other's Day.
your Other's
Yeah.
Day.
Yeah. So I started a coaching program in 2022 called Thrive After Infertility. Because, thriving was something I was used to doing, or, I had a lot of opportunities to do that in my corporate workplace. And then when this motherhood thing didn't turn out, I just wanted to feel like I was thriving again. So I started Thrive After Infertility back in 2022, and it's a 12-week coaching program. And I do it one-on-one because for me, that is what my feedback has been from my clients, that they like kind of having that one-on-one time with me. And then I founded something also in 2022 called the Other's Day. And it's for women who don't have children, either by choice or not by choice, that on Mother's Day weekend want to feel connected to other women who don't have kids. So I purposely do it the Saturday before Mother's Day, so it doesn't take away from the rightful celebration for the moms out there. And it has grown from 18 people to over 70 people this past year here in Chicago. And I just got the trademark for it. So I want to start reaching out to Hallmark and card, companies, and start getting this recognized as a day for anyone who doesn't have children to be celebrated.
Bravo. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Dare to transform her dream, redefine her worth, allow other women to see their possibilities through her story. Ladies, women across the world, there's nothing you cannot do, have, or become. You just have to choose. And Lana is choosing to share you the pathway to possibilities. This is you if you choose to remember that you too can choose what freedom feels like, what love tastes like to you. Oh, Other's Day brunch, Other's Day. If I'm ever in Chicago, I'm coming. Oh, yes,
please. Yeah, people come. I mean, I've had people come from Puerto Rico,
wonderful,
New York, Texas. I mean, all across the globe, and people I've never met before.
They're drawn to you.
It's a beautiful thing to watch the curation. I'm a curator. I don't feel like I need to be everybody's best friend when they come, but I love to create the connection for other people. You know, it's not
Mm,
about me, it's about bringing others together to meet people. Because so many women say, I'm the only one in my group without kids and I don't fit in with my mom friends. I love them, but I just can't join the conversations or have the common experiences. So
mm,
it's a beautiful thing
beautiful.
to watch grow.
Mm.
And I know this is your first episode for the series on authors. So I'm also going to share a link if anyone wants to download my book for chapter 1 in the forward for free. I'll shoot that link over to you and maybe you can share it in the show
Absolutely. I'll
notes.
share it in the notes for the podcast. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's very generous. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. We
Power
all,
chapter 1's very powerful.
it
And
is. Whew, I read a little
yeah.
bit of that chapter. And everything else, it encourages you, nudges you forward with grace, with a feeling that you belong, with you feeling that you belong here, where you are right now in your life, and the path that you're moving forward. Lana holds you, like I'm sure she's holding the women of her Others Day brunch. You feel safely held to turn the page, turn the energy, shift the energy within you from despair to hope. You feel that nudge. It's a wonderful book. I'm not saying because I know Lana, honey. This is the truth. And you know, if you've been around Rebel for a spell, authenticity reigns, baby. Lana, Lana, Lana. Anything else you'd like to share? Tell us where we can find you online and where your favorite home is online, all social media, your website. Give us all the bits.
Yeah. Well, I'm most often on Instagram at Lana.Manikowski. You have to check the show notes for the spelling.
And I'll put a copy
And
of
then
your
my
book as
website,
well.
yeah,
Sorry.
my website's lanamanikowski.com. So, and I started a Substack. I, yeah, I've been trying to publish something at least once a month. You know, I think Substack is a really interesting place that people are hanging out who are authors and not just, you know, sharing full books, but just little thoughts. And that's really what I try to do is either incorporate things that are happening in my life and sharing with others who might be navigating the same thing, or if a client comes to a coaching session and there's this common theme that keeps up, trying to write about that in my Substack.
Always offering, offering,
Yeah.
offering, offering. Pathways of healing, really. Pathways of becoming, pathways of feeling remembered, of belonging. That's what we are ultimately seeking. And sometimes the belonging we're seeking is belonging to ourselves. And we are loving always. Whether or not your mother, you still love, always love. Nothing can separate you from that. And that's what Lana and myself and so many of us, and even you listening here, are teaching us, because we learn these things through teaching them through the experiences we share with you, right? Equal exchange of love, power, and grace. Lana, last words, my dear. What would you like to share with the
Um,
listeners here?
yeah, I think just know that you can choose to support yourself no matter what you're going through. Your support of you is the one thing that cannot waver. And I think that is a message that I didn't always know. I thought I had to rely on others, and which is great, you know, just to get that support, but know that you're your number one support and find it and believe in it and show up for yourself every single day.
Find it, believing it, show up for yourself every day. And remember, believing on purpose. A belief is just a thought you keep practicing in your mind. You can change it any moment. It may seem daunting, but it's just an idea, just a story. You can change it. You can become the author of your life because you're already writing it. Write it now in a different direction if you choose to. Joy, baby. Joy. Lana, Lana, Lana. I love saying your name. I love being in this space with you. I know we will always stay connected in some way. I feel that very powerfully. I appreciate
Yes.
your grace. Thank
I love
you.
you so much.
I love you too. Everyone, you can find Lana's book. It's everywhere. So now what? Amazon, all the things. You can find the book. You can find Lana. It's worthy of you sharing it and offering to another friend. There's somebody out there who's waiting to receive this book. Thank you for your time today, Lana.
Thank you, Wen.